Order. The work session of January 6th for Bel Air Beach is now in session. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilmember Marv Beam.
Here.
Councilmember Dave Gaddis.
Here.
Councilmember Jody Shirley.
Here.
Councilmember Rita Swope.
Here.
Vice Mayor Glenn Gunn.
Here.
Mayor Joseph Manzo.
Here.
City Manager Lynn Reeves.
Here.
City Attorney Fred Riley.
Here.
And Councilmember Robin Aki is not present.
Okay, thank you. This is a work session, and it actually was suggested by our city attorney, who offered to moderate it, although there's a slight little problem with that because of our rules. So what we can do is suspend the rules and have him moderate this, or I can continue in my regular moderator's role and basically just pretty much let him run the meeting, but we have to do something and address how we're going to handle this. So how does the council want to do it?
I recommend we suspend the rules and allow him to moderate.
Anyone else?
I agree.
I agree.
Somebody make a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous. Robin Aki, I note, is here, so that's a unanimous 7-0. So the rules are suspended. I'm going to introduce the four subjects and then turn it over to Fred Riley, our attorney. That's to discuss the state of the working relationships between the city council members and the city manager, discuss the state of the working relationships between the city council members, discuss the status of the city council's relationship with the citizens of Bel Air Beach, and discuss how to improve these relationships so that the municipal government operates in an efficient and cost-effective manner. You've got 1 hour, Mr. Riley. We start at 6 for our council session.
Okay, I'm going to start by giving a very short statement that I hope kind of sets the tone and starts this in a productive way. You identified the 4 things I wanted to talk about, or the several things I wanted to talk about. My statement starts in my short tenure, I've seen friction among people who need to be working together, a focus on past wrongs or perceived wrongs instead of on the future, and the potential for what would be costly lawsuits. From my tenure as a city attorney, I find the current atmosphere inefficient, unhealthy, and untenable. I've also observed council members who respect each other, care deeply about the community, and want to accomplish, and were elected to accomplish, big picture achievements that will benefit this community. You can't solve the big picture problems in any community if you are unable to get past the small problems and work together. The Sunshine Law requires this council to have their discussions in public. I will be the very first to admit that this is often extremely awkward and messy, but it is essential. It is up to the council members to have an open and candid discussion about how to right the ship and chart a new path forward. At the last meeting, City Manager Reeves presented a letter in which he discussed his concern about a hostile workplace. And the following day, I sent an email to the city council members and to City Manager Reeves that gave some information from the EEOC about hostile workplaces and that sort of thing. I'm not going to address the merits of his claim, but I will say one thing very specific. The fact that he had a concern is of concern to me because I've been a city attorney elsewhere for 8 years, and I will tell you over that 8-year period, my role has evolved more and more into risk management because risk management is an extremely important aspect of running any city. And this is I always tell people when I was young, we had a little league and we played baseball and nobody was worried about lawsuits and liability. That isn't the way it is anymore. You have to be concerned about those types of things, whether you're running a little league baseball organization or whether you're running a city. And I am very sensitive to the potential for lawsuits and risk problems, because in this day and age, you absolutely have to be. The purpose of me asking for this workshop was to address some issues that I think need to be addressed, and hopefully, as I said, chart a path towards a new future. Most of all, it's a time where the city council members need to discuss candidly and openly what their perspective is and how to move forward. And really that's the genesis of why I wanted to have a workshop on this topic.
I'll go first. Well, kind of. I want to say thank you for coming up with this idea, because I think this is definitely needed. There's a lot of friction on this council amongst each other, amongst the residents, amongst Lynn, and I'm not one that likes conflict, and I always feel like sometimes I try to calm it down, but I think we definitely need your help. So whatever you can offer us in ideas, that way we can, like I've said so many times, just get along, then I'm happy to hear them. So thank you for starting this.
I'll take up the next section here. Basically, since we're discussing these topics in numerical order, let's start with the city manager issue. It seems to me that there has definitely been a personality conflict between the city manager and at least one of the council members, almost to the point to where it does appear to be more of a almost a harassment type situation. I don't really fully understand the reasoning behind it. I understand that there's always going to be shortcomings in anyone's job performance. However, I just don't feel that the city manager deserves the weekly, or I'm sorry, monthly problems that we're encountering during these meetings.
I'll go next. Are we going to address them one by one, or all of them at the same time first?
All at once.
Okay, since we're going to address them all at once. As far as item number 1, I totally heard you, Lynn, and I understand your concerns and your frustration. And I think a lot of that is the city council's fault. We have allowed one person to direct you and not stepped up to the plate. And we need to do a better job of stepping up to the plate and making sure that the decisions are made by all. Number 2, working between the city council members. I have always brought in citizens' concerns, their complaints, their issues. That's what I ran on, that's what I will continue to do. I think if city council can maybe work together or work better together is by listening to those complaints and concerns, whether it's one person, a small group, or a large group, it doesn't matter. If they have a concern, we need to listen to them and understand them and thank them for their concerns rather than the way they have been treated. So that's just as much city council's fault as well. And I'm going to continue to bring the citizens' concerns in here because that's who we all represent, or the people that elected us. And that kind of falls in with item number 3 as well. We need to, not sit here and demean them and not sit here and, give them the right act every time they get up and speak, whether we like what they're saying or not. We've had many concerns brought to this city council and many frustrated citizens at this point. And on number 4, as far as cost effective and more efficient, In my opinion, city council just needs to step up as a whole and listen to the citizens, respect them, try to figure out the best option and the best avenue to take, and not make it a personal agenda. And that's what I have to say about basically all 4 of these items. But I will finish by saying, this city would be at a huge loss if our city manager left. And we need to step up to the plate and help him do a better job by all of us guiding him.
As far as experience I've had, one military and a high-pressure industrial job, the pressure can be on, it can be pretty hard. What the council has been trying to do over this last couple of years has got a lot done. There's been a lot of past things that have been left sit. Lynn, I believe, has done everything he possibly could to get stuff done, and sometimes when you work in industry, you can get stuff done immediately. So that, for me, causes a lot of frustration. But strong personalities does not mean, pardon me, does not mean that you're trying to change the form of government. You're trying to get your point across. Sometimes the words get a little strong. I've had that happen to me. And I think nothing of it. The words going back and forth that I've heard here at the council doesn't faze me one bit. I've had more done to me in the last 40 years than what's transpired here. I probably shouldn't compare, but maybe a lot of people here on the council have never worked in that environment. But once you have, you'd understand it. I'd like to find out what the root of the problem is. I know there's a lot of outside social media that has fired up a lot of concern among everybody, and it's agitated everybody very, very much. That needs to stop. We have a, how would you call it? A person in the shadows doing things and asking requests of emails. I guess people are watching television a lot and they want to copy what's going on in the federal government. It's really a joke. But if there's anything, I'd like to work with anybody privately if necessary to find out what the cause is and try to resolve it. Let's just get our ideas on the table and see what comes out of it. Thank you.
I would, if you don't mind, I'd like to add another comment, which basically, my previous statement has nothing to do with social media, has nothing to do with much of anything other than what I see in these meetings. Beyond the confrontations that have happened, accusations and ill will towards one another, I've also seen a lot of dwelling on the past, things that were well beyond constantly being brought back up and reigniting flames that have been ignited for a while. I think that even though this council has done a great job and has made great strides, it's been a lot more painful than it had to have been. I think that we could have accomplished the same amount plus way more had we not focused on belittling and basically shaming those who may have a difference of opinion.
Welcome. So I think as a group up here, individually, we all get approached by citizens and we all try to bring their opinions and their concerns to the council. And we have to all agree up here and understand that we may all represent different groups of our citizens. So a citizen that may come to one of you may not come to me. So just because one of us represents one group of citizens doesn't mean the other people on here who represent a different group, it doesn't cancel them out. It's something that we have to hear every opinion, whether it differs from our own personal one or not. I agree with what Marv says, is that compared to previous councils, we seem to be getting a lot more done in a shorter amount of time. And let's face it, change is hard. People like comfort of same old, same old. Change is very hard, whether it's needed or not. Some people aren't gonna like change. Some people are, so we have to just all understand that we're not gonna please everybody. There's no way to make everybody happy, but what we have to do is do what's best for the city as a whole. I agree, maybe we need to do better with respecting the citizens that come up here, and, because, I've been on the other side, it's very intimidating to walk up to that mic and to talk, so we have to respect them for having the initiative and the concern to come up. And listen to them, but on the flip side, it has to be reciprocated. You can't come up to this mic and expect to, argue with us, tell us your opinion in an aggressive manner, and not expect us to have any emotion back, because that's just human nature. And the same thing goes on with the Nextdoor app. It's a very great way for people to express their opinion, but the problem is, and I know a lot of council members on here have felt, we can't say anything back. I can't defend myself. I can't defend anybody else. I can't say, well, we discussed that and this is actually what happened at this meeting. You're free to reference these because of the Sunshine Law. So it's kind of the Nextdoor app to me, and I haven't been personally targeted, but I'm just talking as a group. To me, is just a shooting range. Just go ahead and take shots at us, because we're just going to sit there and take them because we can't fire back. And so our only have time to respond to citizens and accusations, whether they're true or not, is up here, and that's why sometimes emotions get involved and we tend to get a little more ramped up. But maybe as a group, myself included, we need to just take a step back, like Marv says. He's, I guess, taken a lot of punches over the years. Just take a step back and just take a deep breath and try not to bring all our emotions here at once. I've obviously had my differences with people on the council, but today's a new day, it's a new year. I've already said in the past, let bygones be bygones, and we got to work together. I'm not expected to like everybody up here, and I don't expect everybody to like me, but I do expect everybody to give me the respect, the same respect I give you of your opinion, and the respect to work with me and get things done for the best of the city. That's all I have to say for right now.
Fred, I'd like to say something. This might come as a surprise to some of you, but I most recently met with Mr. Reeves. I want to make sure I get my date right. I think it was November 6th. It's the day after I wrote the memo that seemed to offend him, which was just my concern about the police coverage inside this council hall. I didn't think it was anything that bad. I just was saying we got to address this. And by the way, I see 2 sheriffs out there. Thank you, guys. 2 people witnessed that. 2 people heard it. 2 people from the Parks Board. It was after the Parks Board meeting. They heard me and Mr. Reeves laughing. We shook hands. We agreed to work together. I didn't have any contact with him for the rest of the month. And December 2nd, we know what he said. I want to move on, all right? I definitely want to move on for the good of this city. If there was a problem, I was available that entire month. I could have picked up a phone, I would have come in. Mr. Riley could have brokered something, or we could have done it ourselves. We weren't rolling in the mud fighting each other. We were sitting in his office telling jokes. And people heard us. So if there's a problem, tell me. Don't go to social media. I bust my back for this city. You have no idea how many meetings and people we speak to and what we do. June and I go to almost every meeting with these councils and everything else. And I'm very dedicated. I don't make a penny for it. I am not retired. I'm taking this time out of my business. And yet, because some of these ideas might not be so popular for some of the people who lost the election, they do seem to be pretty popular amongst this council. We've done some incredible things. Marv keeps talking about a list of 40 or 30 items that he had when he ran. and we've knocked off almost everything on that list. That's tremendous. Got a $2 million SOAR project. Mr. Reeves told me it couldn't be done. I got it done in 3 months. Okay? We've done some great stuff. We've got a $300,000 savings. We've got a finance committee that's looking into better ways of investing our money and saving the city money. We've done stuff that no council has done before us, yet I take abuse after abuse after abuse. Show me any social media posts where I ripped any of you. Yet I look in this audience right now, I see one person who told me I broke the law. Another person who said that I was unethical in my law practice. Another person who went running around to his neighbors trying to talk bad about me. Oh, it gets back to me. I didn't win the election without people telling me what's going on. I know what's going on. And for the good of the community, I've let it set. I am going to continue to let it set. Every one of those things I just mentioned, at least 2 of those 3 things, are legally actionable. I'm an attorney, I could sue you. I haven't. I don't want to. It's not good for the community. It's not good for you. It's not good for me. I'm getting sick and tired of going to bed with headaches. This job doesn't pay anything. My love of the city is what keeps me going. So if you want respect, please show it back. And show it to my girlfriend too. It bothers some of you that we live together. You want me to go through your pasts? I can check them out. I don't think you do. We live together. We love each other. So please, leave us alone. That's crossing the line. You can get up to this podium anytime you want and disagree with my politics. If you say, you know what, Joe, you're way off base. We need to keep this building for the rest of the creation. Wonderful. We may disagree on that point. And we can. But you don't go out to social media and trash me the next day. And call me names or say I'm unethical or say I'm breaking laws. I'm a lawyer. That has legal implications. As for relations with council, I believe I get along very well with 5 people on this council. There's one person on this council, on the day I was sworn in, one of the happiest days of my life, went to the judge that I brought here and made a Sunshine Act allegation about me. Yeah, it gets back. And yeah, I don't forgive it that easy. I'm sorry. This is a judge that I have to practice in front of, a judge who reads my appeals. You make a Sunshine Act violation and you're way off base? And I'm just supposed to say, it's okay. It's not okay. You crossed the line. Don't play lawyer if you're not a lawyer. I let that go. I never even brought that into the public. I'm bringing it out tonight because I want you to know where I'm coming from. I'm going to forgive everything as of tonight. I'm going to start new. It's a new year, and I'm going to forgive everything. And I hope that everybody else will do the same. And I'm going to move forward. That is not a free pass to start up again. It's a pass to start with the right relationship. I agree with everything that the people on this council said. Respect is a two-way street. I'll show you the respect, you show it to me. You can disagree with me. You can tell me I'm totally off. I have no problem with that. But let's do it in a respectful manner. When some of you were in office, I didn't treat you with disrespect. And I don't expect to be treated that way. As for me and the city manager, I will work with him. I have worked with him in the past. Having your wife go on social media and post nasty things about me isn't going to improve our relationship. So please, I'll ask again, stop. It's real easy to do. I don't go on social media. June doesn't go on social media. If you have a problem with me, you have an office, call me in, we'll talk. And if we can't settle our differences, Fred Riley has become a pretty good friend of mine, we'll bring him in as a mediator if we have to. So that's my message to the community. I certainly weighed all my options in the last month, and I think that this is the best for the community. So I'm going to take this one, and I'm going to take the advice that I've been given, and I hope that everybody else understands where I'm coming from. So from here forward, I move forward with a clean slate with everyone on this council, our city manager, and everyone in the audience and every citizen. If you said it about me, I'm forgiving you. Please don't say it again. Thank you.
Can I make a comment? It's a new year and I'm ready to get to work. I'm focused on Bel Air Beach, the desired state, with respect to working relationships, council and city staff, council and residents. There's only one level and standard for our personal interactions, and it is articulated and it is codified by the City of Bel Air Beach Resolution Number 2019-01, also known as, wait for it, the city's strategic plan. On page 2 of that document, under section 4, you will find core values for the City of Bel Air Beach. Under section 1, core values is defined as our culture that guides, helps define, and shapes our future. Section 4 specifically enumerates the core values for the City of Bel Air Beach. As city officials and employees, we will, number 1, strive for excellence in all that we do, always with courtesy, enthusiasm, and respect. Number 2, we value safety, teamwork, and the worth of others in dealing with co-workers and residents. We serve with the highest levels of integrity, ethics, and transparency. We're good stewards, we're proactive and innovative in preparing for the future and changing needs of Bel Air Beach and our residents. While this is written for elected officials and staff, the expectation is one of reciprocity from the residents as well. I've said it in the past, personal and individual agendas bring us to this council, whether we sit up here or you sit down there in the audience. That's okay and it's well understood. We've paid a lot of lip service to our strategic plan, but have we really comprehended its full impact? It serves as a common baseline and foundation for weighing priorities and making decisions. Where priorities and interests diverge, you build consensus by showing alignment and agreement with our city's strategic priorities. And all this takes place under the umbrella of our core values. We're all professionals here, so let's act like it and get to work. We've got a lot of work to do this year. Thank you.
I'll make a couple more comments. In my relatively short tenure here, there have been a number of situations in which there was need to do something, and I will leave it just as something, but there have been a couple times before the city council, and in those situations, my guidance has been what Mayor Manzo just said, which was go directly. And that, to me, is a very efficient way to solve problems. It's a very civil way of doing it, and it's also the adult way of doing it. There's a problem, though, in government in Florida with doing it that way, is you have severe limitations due to the Sunshine Law. So not all the problems that are on this list are inner council problems, but having the ability to discuss some of these the potential problems or situations amongst the council members is illegal, and to my knowledge, that hasn't been done, and it shouldn't be done. And I will make it clear, I will never condone it, because my job is to make sure none of y'all get in trouble from a legal standpoint. So again, we'll make it very clear, do not condone it ever if it's something that could lead to an ethical problem. But having said that, the direct approach is what needs to happen, and I've discussed lots of things with Lynn during my tenure here, and the discussion that him and I've had has also often been take the direct route, and that's a sound way to start out. I would be remiss if I didn't say something about social media. All 7 of you are elected officials, and elected officials have the highest level of permissible abuse that you can heap on somebody. And social media is, at times, a very destructive media. It's not just a destructive media in government, it's destructive in schools and in personal relationships, on and on. But I will make the statement primarily for the benefit of the citizens that are here. The things that you can say about an elected official has its limits. And I personally don't, I'm on Facebook, I don't think I've ever said anything or very, very little about my job because I don't discuss stuff about my job on social media, because I really shouldn't be doing that. Robin Aki is a doctor, she shouldn't be discussing her work on social media, and she doesn't, I'm sure. But the Nextdoor application and Facebook, I know, are popular, and it's something that at times it's hard to resist. But I will say with all the clarity I can say, there is a limit to what can be said even with elected officials, and there will come a point if somebody crosses the line, there, I'm sure, will be somebody that's fed up enough that they will take some action with respect to it. And that's should be it's understandable. I don't know that there's a policy that you can pass to address it. It comes down to free speech, and free speech includes speech that's not very prudent. Free speech, you can say just about anything, and again, that has its limits too, but I know what I've worked on and what I've dealt with in my role as a city attorney for the last couple of months, and will say very conclusively, some of the social media chatter has not helped matters, but that to some extent will probably still continue, and if it does, someday there may be a consequence related to it. So I'm trying to be forthcoming with everybody that I can and make it clear to folks that actions have consequences, and I will say, I know everything's recorded, and I'm many times glad, because I'm going to say this. Free speech is, I'm saying nothing to deter anybody's free speech rights. Absolutely nothing. The comments I'm making are oriented towards not having, I think Dave Gaddis said it, you've accomplished a lot, but you've done it in a way that it could conceivably have been done in a way without as much anguish as it's resulted in. Part of that is the process you've gone through, and the citizens have a role in the process, and sometimes it's made harder to accomplish things due to the chatter on social media. But in my opening comments said, you for the good of the community, you need a better, more efficient working government, and if you can get a better working, efficient government, you'll be able to accomplish the big picture things that I think this council has in mind. And if there's anything else that you would like to address, I'm all for it. Because this was, to me, one of the most pivotal meetings that you're likely to have in 2020, is setting the stage and getting off on the right foot, and putting some of the things in the past, leaving them in the past.
Fred, I just want to, number one, agree with what you just said, and it reminded me of something that happened. And again, you don't know me, folks. You don't. You think you do because you see me for an hour, but you don't know me. I had a client tell me that former elected official in the city is out of the ladies' club, bad-mouthing me to my clients. That's what Fred's talking about when you're crossing the line. That's legally actionable. I don't want to sit here and, like I say, come after people, but they were bragging that I was going to sue them. Do you realize it'll cost $15,000 to $20,000 to defend a defamation suit? Do you have that kind of money you want to waste? Why would you play? Why would you do that? It's not a game. It's not a game playing with someone's business. It's not a game talking about my girlfriend. It's not a game. I don't do that with you. You will never see that I've done that with you. And if you want respect, please show it back. But when you do that to my clients, it's not going to work, okay? So again, I'm starting off fresh. It doesn't mean everything you've done was permissible, but we're starting off fresh. I'm going to give everyone the benefit of the doubt that they're going to change for the better, and that we understand each other a little bit better here. And I hope that it won't continue, because I don't like having these meetings, and I think we do have a lot that we could accomplish. We've got an incredibly talented council. We have done more so far for the city in 8 months, 9 months than I think I could have ever imagined. Somebody said to me, everything you promised, you're pretty much finished with. I'm like, pretty much. So we're going to come up with new stuff and see what else we can do. That's good. And I want your input, good and bad. Don't hate it because I say it as the mayor. I have a lot of good ideas. A lot of the ideas that passed were my idea. And I have some bad ideas. And please, let me know when they're bad ideas. But don't make it personal. Don't attack my law business and my clients. That's wrong. That is just wrong. And I don't appreciate it. So please stop, and we'll all get along. As Robin says, let's just get along, okay? Anyone else?
Can I say something? A couple of things. Is just, Fred, thank you for initiating this. I went to Lynn immediately following the last meeting and asked that we engage an HR director or someone that would mediate something like this. So thank you for giving us the opportunity. You know, my position has been and always will be that I'm going to support our residents, everyone on this council, including the mayor, and all of our staff members. My goal is to get the city's business done. Thank you, Glenn, for reminding us of our strategic plan, and that should be in front of us at every meeting. There's a lot of pettiness and things going on, back and forth. He said, she said, you know, that just needs to stop. It just needs to stop. We need to work together as a group to get the city's business done. There are plenty of things that I think all of us have said that probably shouldn't have been said. Sometimes taming the tongue is important. Not being as aggressive, although we all, probably the reason we're in this position is because we have that leadership skill, and we need to maybe be a little more gentle in our delivery. You know, and some of that might seem threatening to people that aren't the same personality type, so take that into account. But I think taming the tongue is a huge thing. I think from a staff standpoint, I just have to say this, staff members, if there's an issue, they need to talk to council members, whether it's picking up the phone and talking to us individually, but going to the neighbors, going to the residents, and airing grievance with residents prior to talking to council members is an issue. I think that we need to be cautious of that, and I'm certain that's happened because of emails we've received. I also feel that we have some outside influences from maybe non-residents. These anonymous emails we keep receiving are questionable to me. I think if it's a resident, clearly they would pick up the phone, so we just need to be aware of that likely we have people outside of the community getting involved in our city government, and just think about that when we're dealing with don't take it personal, you know, just think about where those emails might be coming from. You know, I just want to move forward with our plan, strategic plan, and stay focused. We've got a lot to accomplish this upcoming year, and we've got to stay focused. We can't let these personality conflicts get in the way of getting the city's business done.
Are there any other comments?
I just would like to add also that whenever each one of us were elected, we knew that there was a potential that we would become a target in some way or another. And that's not saying anything bad about our residents, our citizens, but everyone is not going to agree with us every single time. We have to accept that. And what I would like to stress is that does not necessarily mean that it requires a response. There's many times where we've wasted an hour responding to a ridiculous comment, whenever really just saying thank you and have a good evening would be sufficient, and we could move forward and continue on with our progress. I think we're very good at that, but we get sidetracked. And if we're starting from scratch, a brand new year, and everyone's on good terms with each other, starting today, I'd say we need to all think about that as new comments come up to the podium. And we need to be very careful with our words, because a small fire can turn into a forest fire, something really awful, just by responding incorrectly and defending yourself whenever I don't think it's necessary. So that being said, everyone just try to remain calm in 2020, and let's see what else we can do.
Okay, if there's no further comments, then we can recess for a little while.
All right, is there any comments? We typically do not on work sessions, well, we can turn it up into the audience. It has to be agreed upon by council. If the council feels that that might be useful. We have 20 minutes, so. Council?
I think we could open it up to them.
Anybody disagree? Okay, then let's open it. Fred, I guess you can, all right. Would anyone like to speak on this topic? Going once? Jim? Rudy?
Hold on a second.
Okay.
Go ahead. Sure. Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to say,
Put the mic on.
I just want to say that I've been personally attacked for trying to put on these events in the city, to try to run the park board. I don't understand why I've been personally attacked for trying to do those things. I mean, people can disagree with what I'm doing. They can disagree with, what might transpire in the future. But to personally attack me, that's totally uncalled for. I don't do that to anybody. I've been through a lot trying to put on the events with the city, running the park board. And I do realize that, like Councilmember said, that, change is hard. Change is hard. We didn't do events in this city. And we are doing events in the city now. Okay, and it is an adjustment, and we had to create all these things from scratch that never had to be created. I mean, that were never created before. And, the fact that we've had to go through all these hurdles, and as long as the citizens are willing to stop personally attacking me, I'm okay with that. I don't have a problem if they don't like with something we're going to do. They have their right to speak their opinion. They came to one of my park board meetings. I let every one of them speak. I showed them the utmost respect, and I will continue to show the utmost respect. I did the whole time, even though people were yelling at one of my meetings. I asked that they do the same, okay? When we speak about peace and trying to come together as a city, then we always have to keep that in mind when we have differences in opinions, and don't let it get out of hand. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. And thank you for everything you did on the Parks Board. Mr. Davis, did you want to speak?
I think I'll decline.
I couldn't hear you.
I think I'll decline.
I didn't hear what you said. He declined, okay. I thought he said resign. I'm like, I don't have to resign.
Okay.
Okay,
Um,
I don't know if that mic is on.
Rudy Davis, 612 Bell Island.
Mr. Davis, I don't think the mic is on, or pull it closer to you. These are, you have to be like 2 inches away.
Okay. Rudy Davis, 612
Still
Bell
on.
Island. Talking about.
Matt.
Okay, Rudy Davis, 612 Belle Isle Avenue. I was surprised this meeting was supposed to discuss working relationship between council and the city manager and staff. I'd heard hostile work environment issues, etc. I didn't hear any discussion about that. Disappointing. The last time I was at the podium, and let me interject, I'm not a member of any social media, Facebook, neighborhood. I don't do any of that. And I've never commented on any of that. Just want to put that out there. If I had a concern, I've always brought it to this podium. I brought a couple of concerns here. And I'm just going to address one tonight. Because I was disappointed after the last time I spoke about a police report that I just thought was reprehensible. There was no discussion from council. No one on council asked to have a conversation about that and its implications for this city and what it represents to the reputation of this city. And I was very disappointed that that didn't happen. I think that's all I have to say tonight. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Hanzik.
John Hansick, 103 22nd Street. Appreciate the comments from council, and I appreciate Mr. Riley for moderating. I'd like to share with council, if I may, some wisdom from decades ago in a military leadership school. The choice of words, the manner in which they're delivered, they're spoken, and even facial expressions are all considered in the interpretation, if you will, of how the message is being transmitted. Sometimes I sit here and I watch facial expressions and I see certain words and more emphasis in certain areas, and it's as if, I don't know what real adjective I want to use here, but I don't feel that it's coming across, if you will, in a professional way, in a balanced conversation. I get the strategic plan. I do have a copy of it, and I think one of the founding principles is respect, and that respect goes both ways. So, something I learned many, many years ago, coming up through the ranks, and I've stood in front of the podium in classrooms, and I've trained recruits. And it's a different can of worms, I realize, but how you deliver the message determines how it's interpreted and how it's received. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other citizen comments? Take it back to council. Does anybody want to add anything?
We didn't hear anything from the city manager. Did we address?
I appreciate the discussion, and we'll see where it goes from moving forward.
Are there any other outliers that we didn't touch on?
Not at this point.
Is there anything we can do as a council better
No,
to help you, not just with relationships, but to help you do your job?
I think the city council, and I said that in my letter, the city council, for the most part, has supported me. And you have. I just took issue with some of the verbal and things that were said to me. And hopefully it stops and we move on and the other employees don't have that verbal comments in a negative way either, because there are some employees that also. So hopefully moving forward, it's more positive.
Can I request that that we don't wait till the next council meeting in a public forum, if there's an issue, that you reach out to council members individually if you see an issue?
Oh, that,
And we can
yeah.
talk to Fred about it and try to resolve it immediately rather than it festering if there's a problem. If any of us do anything when it's a problem.
well, as I told you, I reached out over time to several of you and I spoke to you about it. And then I reached out to the city attorney and asked him to do that. So I think, you know, I would still do that, and I think that's part of being professional. There's many things that have happened that, you know, from my perspective, unprofessional in some ways. So we just have to be professional among ourselves. And that's really all I'm asking.
And clearly staff
And staff,
staff reports to you.
yes.
So if you see an issue, you have to let us know. I mean, clearly that's not something that we'll have, I don't think any of us really have a lot of direct contact with the staff.
No, very, very little, yes.
So I think we can all maybe agree from this point forward, at least up here, I mean, we have no control of the citizens, but that we can all just wipe the slate clean and go forward.
Say that in a heartbeat.
All right, I just like to summarize, I think, so.
Wow. Yeah, all right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Mr. Marsh. And I do want to, just something Mr. Davis said. Fred Riley wrote a memo on what it means to have a hostile work environment. It's a term that people use a lot. Read that memo, and I think you'll get a better understanding of it. But whether it's a hostile work environment legally or not, there were concerns here, and we're addressing those concerns. So I think tonight we've taken a major step. And Mr. Reeves, I heard that you talked to everybody else. In the future, you've got my telephone number. You talk to me, okay? And if you and I can't work it out, then Mr. Riley's a pretty good person. Unfortunately, we can't bring any of the council members in due to the Florida law, but we will work it out together. There's a mayor that I admire very much. He was one of the first people that befriended me when I became mayor, and he said to me, "You don't air the city's dirty laundry in public." That is a good rule to live by. I have tried to live by that rule. Maybe I failed sometimes, I know others have too. So I think we keep that rule in mind, okay? We can deal with a lot of this stuff privately. Council members can't talk to council members, but city managers and city attorneys and one of us can talk with each other. That's always allowable. So if you have a problem with someone, only if it gets to the worst situation should ever come before the city, okay? We're better than that. We call ourselves a premier city. Let's be one, okay? We can be, all right? Mr. Marsh, thank you, and I thank you, Mr. Riley, for what you've done here. And I thank all the council members for their input, every one of them, okay? Now, Mr. Riley?
Just one more comment. I'm city attorney for another city, and I've worked with elected officials from a number of other cities in different capacities. The problems that were just discussed are not unique to Bel Air Beach. They happen everywhere. And there's always a tension that is present in a municipal government because the charter sets up tensions, and just like the U.S. Constitution has tensions between the different branches of government. That's always going to be present, and again, it's not unique to this city. There's a challenge that this council have, because you have several people that are newly elected, and that is, there's a steep learning curve, and there's a lot to learn. And some of the stuff is, I always will point to the public records law, the Sunshine Law. It's highly technical, it's like walking through a landmine. If you ever have insomnia, you should read chapter 119 or chapter 286, but it is mind-numbingly complex at times, and that contributes a lot to the learning curve, because from day one, the elected officials have to be up to speed, because there's consequences if you make a misstep. But this discussion over the course of the last 50 minutes or whatever time it's been, it has, to me, been extremely helpful, and I'm very optimistic that you had the discussion that you had.
Thank you. All right, with that, then we're going to conclude. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Second? Second. In favor? Aye. We have 4 minutes break, and then we will come back for the council meeting.